Hey y'all, today this is Chat IEE with Bree and Chi. I am Bree, and today we have Dr. Marcus Dumas, who also goes by Dr. Du. So hi Dr. Du, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Dr. Du. I am the Director of Clinical and Sports Psychology at Texas Tech Athletics. Originally from South Bastrop, Louisiana. I'm going into my second year here at Texas Tech. And yeah, that's just, for starters, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
So I just have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you just to get a feel of how it is for you as a professional here on campus, and just a lot of different mental health questions and things like that. Okay?
Absolutely, that's it.
Okay, so the first question I have for you today is, can you tell us about your journey and what inspired you to pursue your current path?
So, the journey for me always starts back at home, where I grew up, where I came from. So like I said, born and raised in Louisiana. I was very involved in sports. I played like all of the sports. And sports was really significant to my upbringing. Like baseball was really important to my dad and my grandfather. It was first sport that I was actually good at before I actually showed some prowess in other areas. But yeah, it starts back home. I grew up in a rural area of South Louisiana, about 50 minutes from New Orleans. And I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go to college and play football at Central Arkansas. But also in high school, I had a mentor who was really beneficial and really influential for me. So his name is Frank Clavel. And my fourth period of my senior year, so my last period of my senior year, I was an office worker in his office as his guidance counselor. And he would always ask me questions about psychology and different psychological theories and everything like that. And that really sparked my mind. So it was really from that I went into college knowing, even though I played football, I knew that I was going to major in psychology. And then fast forward to my junior year, I took a sports psychology class the summer going into my senior year. And that was what really really sparked my interest for real. I didn't know about sports psychology going into college, but when I took that class, that was really influential in me wanting to set the sail for that. So, there's a lot of other steps beyond that, and I can talk more about those if you feel like it's really important. But that's kind of the beginnings of it. So, and I would say probably the most important thing to know for me, specifically going into sports psychology or becoming a psychologist, is my experience as a student athlete. College is tough in a lot of different ways, and as a student athlete, I think you experience even further challenges that come along with being an athlete. So I had a couple tough semesters going from my junior year to my senior year, and I really felt like I wanted to be the person who I wanted to be the person I needed at that time, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the basis of it, though.
Okay, perfect. I know you mentioned having a mentor. Like me personally, my current boss is my mentor.
Sure.
So it's I think that's a good thing, especially for very impressionable, at the ages that you're very impressionable. I think having a mentor is a really good thing. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Absolutely.
I do have another question for you. So what are some key challenges that you have faced along the way, and how did you overcome them?
So the challenges that come to my mind the most would be financial. Getting a doctorate is not cheap. Geographic, I would also say, depending on where you are, opportunities and things that you have available to you may not be as abundant. And then I would probably also just say personal life, continuing to navigate life and the uncertainties that come along with life. I think those are the three things I would say specifically. If I had to go into any one of them in particular, it would probably be the uncertainty. Because I applied to 5 or 6 doctoral programs, and so much of it is you not knowing what's going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to get accepted or not. And then when I got accepted into the one program that I did get accepted into, I didn't know how I was going to get up there and pay for it and do all the things. So there's a level of uncertainty that has shown itself as I've continued throughout my journey and my process, and it's been challenging when you feel like maybe you don't always have the resources or connections to kind of understand like how this is going to go. So
Right.
faith comes in a huge bit right there. But those are the three areas of challenge I would say.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know for me personally, I'm a minor in psychology right now.
Okay.
So I am interested in getting into more in the psychology part. When I first got here, it was kind of like I was on the media track.
All right.
So my major is media strategies, but I changed my minor my sophomore year to psychology, and I
Okay.
kind of got more interested in that. So I was just like, okay, this is something I want to continue.
Yeah.
So that's the uncertainty is what I'm going through right now because
Yeah.
I'm currently a senior.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, like I'm applying. Am I gonna get in? Like, how far do I want to go? Do I want to stay here?
Mhm.
So I think that is a big thing. Like the uncertainty is something that I'm currently going through. So
Yeah.
that is a big thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the uncertainty and everything that you had to try to overcome. So how do you stay motivated and focused in both your personal and professional life?
I mean, when it comes to motivation, I think motivation fluctuates. So there are times where, I think this past week was a week where I kind of got unmotivated in with one particular area of my life. But I think the biggest things for me that helped me to stay motivated is definitely like knowing my why. Like my why continues to be strong in my life. I meditate a lot. I meditate every day. Currently on a 14-day streak, so I'm feeling good about that. Having a solid group of friends and colleagues that I talk to pretty frequently, that really helps me. I'd also say gratitude and value. So like understanding like my own value and like being able to communicate that and not leaving it up to other people to see that. I think that motivates me because I don't think people will not always recognize your value.
Right.
And maybe it's not their job to do so.
Right.
So I would definitely say that. And then on the gratitude piece, I think like just being appreciative for where I'm at in my life right now, the things that I have. There was a point in time where I was so motivated to be here, and it's kind of trippy to think about that because it's like there are other places that I want to go, but I've come so far. So it's like acknowledging that, being gratuitous for that, and letting that continue to like push me to where I want to go and things I want to have and experience.
Right. That's great. That's great. It's crazy that you mentioned gratitude because I'm in a positive psychology class right now.
Okay.
And we just had to write a gratitude letter for an assignment.
All right.
And for me, it was kind of like I wasn't expecting it because if it wasn't for this assignment, I would have never written a gratitude letter.
Of course.
So writing this letter, I wrote it to my college coach for dance.
All right.
And I'm not my college coach, my high school coach for dance.
Okay.
And I never realized how much I didn't show the appreciation like I should have until I wrote that letter.
Yeah.
So I was originally planning on not mentioning it to my coach because I was like, it's just for an assignment, I don't need to.
Yeah.
But then it was like all these different emotions and everything came out. So
Yeah.
I really think showing gratitude is a big thing, especially like on the path that we're going right now. Like for me, college life transitioning into the professional life, like I think gratitude is going to be a big part of that, especially with everybody that I'm going to occur along the way, like everybody I'll talk to, the people I'm talking to now. So gratitude is a big thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's actually kind of funny that you did.
Yeah.
But okay, so what advice would you give to students who are looking to follow in your footsteps?
Following in my footsteps, I becoming a psychologist is not an easy thing to do. It's very long. There are a lot of moments that are not fun, so I think there's like a resilience piece that you almost have to kind of set yourself up to endure. And again, it's not like I think like being a student athlete, right? Like that was a physical challenge in a lot of different ways. But I think becoming a psychologist, like mentally and emotionally, you will experience things along the journey that, that make you second guess it or, like feel like, man, can I really do this?
Right.
So I would say being curious is something that's huge, becoming a psychologist. And the reason why that's important is because human beings are very interesting. And there's no one size fits all to anybody. So you have to kind of live your life in a way. It helps. It helps if you can live your life in a way that you are open to new experience and open to what people might give you,
right?
And to not be judgmental about that, right? Because like people are who they're going to be, and nobody asked to be here, right? I didn't ask to be here. I couldn't choose my parents. I couldn't choose where I grew up. I couldn't choose the body I got. Like I didn't really have a say in none of that. So I think curiosity is huge. I would say seeking discomfort, and not like discomfort to where like, you put yourself in danger. Like I think more so like mental and emotional challenge.
Right.
So things that make you uncomfortable socially, or things that don't feel as great. It's like put yourself in positions to feel that, so you can like get more. So you can get more beyond what you think you can handle. And I think on the other side of that, you'll find that you'll be able to navigate things a little bit better. So those are two things I would say for sure for anybody wanting to kind of follow my footsteps.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I see me personally, and my boss will tell you this anytime, like I'm very into the forensic side of things.
Yeah.
So what I kind of wanted to get into was the forensic psychology, and I know that would be very uncomfortable. Like I would be talking to people who I would probably never ever have been in a room.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think the discomfort, me having to put myself in tough situations so I could really understand what I really do want to do. I'm going to have to do it regardless.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to have to figure out ways to navigate through that. But that is very good advice, especially for somebody like me, because like I mentioned, I'm interested in the forensic psychology track. So psychology period is definitely an uncomfortable thing. Like you got to talk to people who are having very, very tough issues, different things like that. So their situations might be uncomfortable for you and different things like that. So I feel like that's really good advice. I'm sure somebody on here will really take that and run with it. I know I am, because it's a lot of things that I'm trying to think about in my senior year. Like, ooh, I'm going to be having to talk to people who were on different routes than I've ever seen myself in. So that'll work.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I got to get up there.
Got a little...
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, we're sitting down straight to the
For sure.
Okay. So another question I have for you, Dr. Du, is in what ways do you engage with the student community, and how would you like to be more involved in the future?
So, interesting kind of question, because for me, I mean, obviously, like I work with student athletes, right? Like that's my base here at Texas Tech. So, I'm around them a bunch, so a lot of the initiatives that they have available to them as like student athletes, so like SAC, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, I believe, BSAA, and just any like extracurricular things through student athlete development, that programming that they have going on, I'm usually involved with that. In terms of like the general student body, I haven't really, I've done a few things, but not a ton. I think last year I did an interview and supported like the local Alpha chapter. Shout out to the brothers,
Okay, fam.
Yeah, so supporting the frat. I've done a little bit with them, and then I went to a fashion show in the spring. That was cool. So supported and then also I maybe this is kind of like inadvertent support, but there's a coffee shop downtown that they had it was like a music showcase. So like a music class, and the students wrote music and wrote songs, and I just so happened to be there, and I stayed the whole time. So like I'm open to supporting students however I can, and interested in however I can support, and I think something similar to like this. I'm glad to do things like this, but those are things that immediately come to mind. Nothing beyond that. But again, like athletics can be so busy, and like interesting, like I've been on so many college campuses in my career so far, and at Tech it's interesting, like the athletic stuff is literally like in the corner.
Yeah.
And then it's the rest of the campus. So I usually try to sometimes like get out, take a walk to the student center, or just like see different things that I haven't seen. So that's things that come to my mind.
That's perfect. So, I'm the president of the Black Student Association here.
For sure.
So, we do have a lot of different events and stuff where we would like to have professionals come out and speak to our general body. So, I'm sure I'll be reaching out to you soon on behalf of BSA.
Okay.
And I'm also a woman of AKA, so I'm sure there's different things we could utilize you for too.
Absolutely.
But, okay. So, another question I have for you.
Okay. You excited about this?
Yeah. Okay. If you could have a conversation with your college self,
all right,
what would you talk about?
Things that come to my mind immediately are like social growth.
Mm-hmm.
I when I reflect back on like coming into college, like I was a country kid, Louisiana country boy, and naturally I do believe that I lean more towards being an introvert. I don't mind, interacting with people, hence doing this, I'm not shy to talk. But I do look back at myself in college and my strong default was just kind of like beating myself. Now when I played as alpha, that really pushed me to do more. But I wish I would have probably talked to myself more about like how could I have done that before, becoming a part of the frat. I would also probably say like masculinity is something. I think, being an athlete, I think male athletes, there's like this expectation of a masculine presentation with certain sports, football, i.e. football being one of them. But I also think like my masculine development is something that I would have been interested to kind of learn more about or know more about. And just thinking about the man that I've become today, being able to kind of like share some stuff with my younger self, I think probably could have helped me feel a little bit better navigating certain situations that may have come up. So those are two things that come to my mind for sure that I would have a conversation with myself about.
Perfect. Yeah, I know for me, I wasn't really I was involved on campus since my freshman year.
Okay.
But I was always kind of like, not on the back burner, but I wanted to be in the background.
Right.
Like I didn't want to put myself at the front. Like I would help in the shadows and different things like that. But my sophomore year, it was brought to me, hey, we think you should run for president for BSA.
Okay.
And I was just like, hold on now. Like, I don't know about that because I'm not, I wouldn't say that I'm shy, but like you said, I am an introvert. Like, I don't mind talking to people, but if I don't have to, I'm not. But when I became president, it was just like, it all hit me at once. Like, I would have to speak at different events and things like that. And then this past spring, I became an AKA. And then that's a whole another different type of attention, obviously. So I've been put in these situations where I'm forced to speak. Yeah. So it's kind of like me being an introvert myself is just, okay, it's just gonna happen, so I'm gonna have to do it regardless.
Oh yeah.
I definitely understand where you're coming from when you say you wish you could put yourself out there more. Like that would have been something that you improved on in college. But yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm just gonna ask you a couple more questions. And then we're gonna let you out of here.
It's all good. No rush. We're good. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to like the mental health specific questions.
Okay.
So the first question I have for you is, what are healthy coping mechanisms or for managing stress from academic pressure and other obligations like student orgs?
Okay. Can you repeat that?
Yes.
Please.
What are healthy coping mechanisms for managing stress for academic pressure and other obligations like student orgs?
I would say, so what I'm hearing you say is like the stress that comes along with being a student that's involved on campus. I don't think it's I think stress overall like comes up in a multitude of different ways. Where it's coming from sometimes can change the way it looks, but I think for a student that's navigating the stressors of like the pressures of being in organizations and going to class and doing all the things, knowing how to take care of yourself, right? So knowing the things that help you to feel lighter, knowing the things that help you to feel good. You never want to stop doing those things. And typically it's when we stop doing those things that we start to feel that even more. So, it's things that come to my mind, self-care activities, take a walk, engaging your supports. Also not being afraid to let something go, or like, reduce your load where you can. I know sometimes that can feel like it's not possible, but these are ultimately things that will help you to continue to navigate and still be able to do the best job that you want to do at being a part of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Like you said, me, the student orgs and stuff, I'm very involved. So sometimes I'll be having to take time out to just worry about me.
Absolutely.
And that can be hard, but...
Why so? What's hard about it for you?
It's like, I'm involved so much, and it's like certain times people feel like, oh, I need to talk to Brie about this, because I don't know. And sometimes I don't always have the answer. Like, I can only do so much. So it's kind of like being involved in everything, with my foot in everything, I'm getting that stress on me from everything that I'm involved in.
Of course.
So, and I don't know, maybe I do it to myself, but I just keep adding on. Like, I've been adding on since my freshman year, so I did it to myself. It's kind of like pros and cons that come along with it. Like, I love people being able to come talk to me. Like, there's different things, and I've mentored so many girls who came in after me, but I'm also like, dang girl, I'm still learning myself. Like, I don't know how to help you in this sense. So it's just a lot of pressure. So I be trying to find ways to relieve that. And sometimes I just take time out to just sleep, or I just go and relax by myself. So I'm still currently working on that, but that kind of leads me into my next question. Okay. My last question for you, okay?
All right.
So what techniques can help me reduce daily stress?
The stresses of daily life, it's probably going to sound like very basic and simple. And I feel like I've heard people be like, man, when I go to the doctor, they don't tell me nothing that I don't know already. And it's like, well, so much of the human experience is literally like doing the things that human beings do, like to sustain you. So like staying hydrated, right? Like it's simply being hydrated can improve your mood, can boost your mood. Like if you are dehydrated, you are more likely to probably be in a bad mood. And associated with dehydration is decreased immune functioning, right? So you literally become more susceptible to sickness, especially right now with the weather change. Something that you can combat that with is simply staying hydrated. Another thing, of course, is like fueling your body properly. You know, like making sure you're eating properly and listening to your hunger cues. You know, those are like the very basic first things that come to mind. But then also sleep. Like sleep is something that we do every day. Like sleeping, eating, and putting clothes on. Those are 3 things that we do every day. Yeah. If we don't do those things every day, it's probably gonna be some problems. Right. It's probably gonna be some issues. So yeah, I would say making sure you get adequate sleep, make sure you're getting efficient. Make sure you're efficient when you sleep. I always try to tell athletes, like, it's more about the quality versus the quantity of the sleep that you get. I mean, outside of those 3 things, again, just going back to those self-care activities, you know, making sure that you know, and sometimes people don't know what those things are for themselves. You know, like you get to college and, I don't know, maybe growing up you always did things that your parents had you do, or you always did things that your brothers and sisters did, but you never got a chance to do the things that you wanted to do. And that can be a learning process. But once you are able to like find and identify those things, making sure you have a routine that includes the things that you enjoy doing. You know, so like for me, what's cool about iPhone is that the cameras have gotten so good now that I can be anywhere and do photography. I like shooting photography. I'm a photographer also, besides being a psychologist. So if I'm not taking pictures, if I go too long without taking pictures, that's how I know, like, okay, like something is not, you know, I need to get some shots in. You know, I need to go look at some stuff. So those are all things that I would say. And I mean, obviously, like that list is very long, but those are the main things that come to mind. And the better you can get at those, the better quality I think you'll see, like your life in the direction you're going.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Like, I know I don't be getting enough sleep. So I can't even hold that one. I don't be getting enough sleep. I just be worried about so much because, of course, I'm in all these orgs, but I be trying to focus on the main thing I came here for, which is my academics. Yeah. So just piling all that on top of the school, everything else that I do, family things, I just have to figure out how to go about it, which is why I'm ready for Thanksgiving break. Yeah. Because I'm not taking my laptop, my iPad, nothing back home. I'm just going to relax the whole week, okay? But that's all I have for you today. Do you have any questions or anything you would like to leave us with?
No questions. I think if it's any, I just, I'm appreciative of this opportunity to be able to do this. I don't take it lightly. Any chance I get to give back to students and support students. Like you talked about mentorship early. Like mentorship, I guess that is the last thing I would leave the viewers with, is that mentorship has been so pivotal for me. And it's like, I think sometimes when we are like in college, like we feel like, I got all the juice, I can do the thing, I can do it. And it's like nobody's saying that you can't do it. But it's like as you go throughout life, I just think life will throw things at you that sometimes your parents won't have the answers, your friends won't have the answers. And if you can have a mentor in the areas of your life that are most important to you. So for me, I don't have a photography mentor, but like there have been a couple people who helped me grow creatively, and I'm very appreciative of those people. But then I also think like in my career as a psychologist thus far, my mentor from high school and then also my professional mentor currently, like they've helped me tremendously. So I think the power of mentorship is like it's really invaluable, and I really encourage people to go ask. Like a quick thing that I'll share actually. So when I was in my doctoral program, I met this woman. She came to speak at a conference that we had at my school. So I was on the transportation committee, so I was in charge of getting her to and from the bus stop. So in those 10 to 12 minute rides back and forth, I was listening, like I'm like a sponge, just trying to soak up everything I can.
Right.
And she asked me who are your mentors? And at the time, I think this was like the beginning of my second year, and I didn't really have any additional. I still had my mentor from high school, but I didn't have nobody in the field per se of sports. So she gave me the names of three guys, and I'll never forget. The first two I called them, and they basically was they couldn't take me on So I'm like, damn man, I might well the first two said they couldn't really do it. Chances are the third person's probably gonna say the same. But I still called him. I said, man, you know what? Just hit him up, see what he say. And he instantly was like, absolutely, absolutely. And seeing what he's become and everything that he's done, in the field of psychology and sports psychology, it's kind of incredible to think damn, this is we've been rocking for almost 10 years now. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, mentorship and definitely taking the risk of asking people that you think you want to be your mentor, go ask them, ask them. I mean, they can say no, your feelings might be hurt for a couple of days, but then you're going to be all right after that. And then you're going to find some, and then the coolest thing about it is you might find somebody else. Chances are you're going to find somebody else that's going to be better to you than that person probably could have ever been. And that's no shade to them, right? That's not taking anything away from them. If they couldn't do it, they couldn't do it, So that's what I leave the viewers with. I hope that's helpful.
No, that's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's always best to find a good mentor, even if they're not in the same profession. Just a personal mentor is always good to help you get on the right track. So, y'all heard it from Dr. Du himself. Go ahead and get y'all a mentor. It's always helpful. Just take the risk. Put yourself out there so you can find somebody to help you help yourself. So, Dr. Du, thank you for coming to us today.
Absolutely.
We really enjoyed your conversation. And is there anything else?
That's all for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.